It's about time we have an intervention, Canada. This is about the liberal mind virus that may be detrimental to your health and the health of others around you. Ladies and gents, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like on the way in. Let's get into this story. Now, this isn't a very new story, but this has developed over time. And of course, this is about this young lady, poor young lady, who happened to be visiting Vancouver, British Columbia, and was attacked, brutally attacked in Vancouver. And, well, I mean, I'm gonna just, spoilers ahead. This didn't change her vote. She voted early for the Liberals after this incident. That is still where her values align, even though you think there's huge gaps in each party. I'm still very left-leaning. Let's get into her story.
Okay, so the story of how someone tried to murder me in Vancouver. For context, I live in Toronto, Ontario. I've lived downtown for like a decade. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, and I was visiting Vancouver on vacation. So I had taken the train from Toronto to Vancouver. It's like a 4-day sleeper train. Wonderful experience. Would recommend to anybody. And I'd been in Vancouver for like a little over 24 hours. It was my first full day in Vancouver. But last Monday, I did have to work. So I spent a lot of the day in my hotel working. And so I decided to take myself out for dinner and just kind of go walk around and see things. So took myself out for dinner. After dinner, I went to a store and I bought myself a couple of White Claws because I figured I'm on vacation. I'm going to enjoy it. I'll go back to the hotel after my walk and, have a few drinks watching cable TV in my king-size bed. So I had actually already been walking through Stanley Park for probably at least an hour and a half. I wasn't actually in Stanley Park when the assault happened. I was on the other side of the harbor there, almost back to where my hotel was in Cole Harbor. So I was in kind of, I think what most people would consider like a fairly safe touristy area that's typically well trafficked by people. And I was just walking and I happened to be like in a little area that was maybe darker than most and there was more trees. So I was on the seawall just walking and I think this guy said something to me. I honest to God can't remember what he would have said. And I like turned and he was up slightly like a little grassy hill and he didn't even respond. He just ran at me to attack me. I've honest to God never seen anything like that where it just felt like he was a predator and I was prey. Like, this wasn't because he asked me out and I turned him down. This wasn't because we were chatting and I was trying to get away. Like it was just, he locked in on me and was like, I'm going to kill this girl. So right when that happened, like I could tell he was running at me. I just started running as well. And he was pretty quickly able to catch up to me and he grabbed me by like the back of my jacket and then just slammed me into the ground. And I guess like for context, I'm about 5'2", maybe like 135 pounds. I'm not a small person, but I'm not a big person. And he was very much like an average sized man, maybe, 5'10", probably 160 to 170 pounds. So with that first assault, I was one stunned, but also like, oh my God. And I just started fighting, screaming, fighting. Like I said, I had those drinks in that bag and I was able to pop back up pretty quickly. And then I was just like swinging them on him, like just wailing on him. He kind of backed down fairly quickly with that one and I was able to run off. And at that point I thought like, okay, that was just a random attack. I fought him off. I actually pulled my phone out and I called 911 and I was on the phone with the police saying like, I'm being attacked. Please help me. When he caught up to me for a second time. I didn't realize that like he was still following me again because it was quite dark at the time. But the second attack was definitely, I think, the worst or one of the worst of them. So he grabbed my phone out of my hand and like smashed it on the ground multiple times. And the only way I can describe him was being like gleeful. Like he was taking great joy in hurting me. And, I just knew like this person is not okay. There's no way to like ration or reason with them. Just fight. And so he got me down again. Like again, he grabbed me down on the ground. I almost feel lucky this time because he actually got me down on my back. And I'm not the strongest person, but I do have very strong legs. So I was kicking the fucking shit out of him, like kicking his chest, kicking his face, screaming. He was yelling at me like, shut up, you stupid bitch. You're such a C word. Just, everything you would expect.
Okay, we're getting into the expletives, but I want to leave a link in the description down below. You can watch the entire 9-minute confrontation that she describes, she was beaten pretty badly, and then she managed to get a hold of some authorities. There was some men in plain clothes that actually happened to be undercover agents or undercover RCMP or Vancouver police that were able to save her from the situation where she had been repeatedly attacked by the same crazy person who was, it turns out, out on conditions, right? Out on bail. This is the same story that we've been hearing throughout Canada, all over the place. But this has largely been a big problem in Vancouver, where it's been noted that the same 40 people have been committing crimes over and over and over again, and just released out into the public to do it again, to go out and do it again and again and again. Now, she had some response after this where people were asking many questions, things like, what's the issue? Are you doing okay? Did you hear about some of the news here? And also asking, did you end up changing your mind about what political parties you'd like to support? Well, it turns out, no, Stephanie had no remorse for the political parties that she's chosen. She says it hasn't, has it changed your mind on the vote? No, it hasn't. I voted early for the Liberals. After this incident, that still is where my values align. And even though I think there's huge gaps in each party, I'm still very left leaning. And then went on to explain how she's aware that this person had been let out on bail and may become a menace to other people, but expressed how that doesn't affect her personally. So this is not an issue for her. So she doesn't have any real general fear of this person being let out immediately afterwards.
Okay, so I'm just going to respond to this because I'm getting tons of similar messages, comments, and even a ton of people in my own personal life have reached out, asking me, did you know he was released? I did. When I posted my video on Wednesday, I didn't know at the time that he had been released, but I had spoken to victim services earlier and knew that there was a likelihood and chance that he would be released. So I wasn't surprised, and obviously I was notified when he was. I think at this point, I honestly haven't yet formed an opinion of how I feel about it. I'm going to need to sit with it for a while probably, but I'll just say, being that I live on the other side of the country and that this was a random attack, I'm not in any fear that I'm going to run into him, that he's going to come attack me, anything like that. So I think that has a big kind of component.
So no care for the general public in this case. Oh, whatever. I'm on the other side of the country. Guess what? You were the general public when you were in Vancouver and that guy was out on release on other charges and attacked you. This is the problem. This is the problem entirely. That it's not just about you. It's about everybody. It's about the entire society. We're all at risk when people are just let out like this. This is insane.
As to why I wasn't immediately very, very upset, because I don't feel like I'm in any further danger. I would just like to say that, I hope he adheres to all of his bail conditions. Because they are quite strict, and I hope that
I'm sure he was adhering to his bail conditions when he attacked you. Maybe it wasn't listed explicitly not to attack women in the park repeatedly and try to just attack them for seemingly no other reason. Perhaps that wasn't in his bail conditions. Perhaps they put that in this time. What?
No one else is harmed, including his own family, because I know as a part of his bail conditions that he's been remanded into basically his mother's custody, and he's on house arrest at her residence, and that he's had previous mental health issues that, they found the need to call the police for.
Surprise.
I know every mother loves their children, and I did see the interview that she gave to one of the media outlets. And again, I didn't really have a huge response to it because I understand, this is your child. So I do just hope that if this was solely based on mental health issues, that this person does get the resources and support that they need so that this doesn't happen to anybody else, because that is what would really upset me, is if, for any reason they go and do this to another person, they do this to someone, living at the same residence where they're staying. I just don't want anyone else to get hurt. But at the same time, I know sometimes getting those resources and supports.
You know what would help others not get hurt? Perhaps if this guy wasn't just let out. That might be a thing. And perhaps maybe that would have been a deciding factor at the polling station, but apparently not.
Especially with our mental health care in this country can be very difficult. So in some ways I understand his release, but in other ways it's kind of I don't know how I feel about it. Obviously, I'm a victim to him, so it doesn't make me feel good, but
I'm not in tatters over it or anything. And, we'll just see how this progresses with the case. And I'll keep my fingers crossed that he does get the supports and he does adhere to his bail conditions and no one else is a victim like I am.
All right. Thanks a lot. That's where we're at with that. So no remorse for the people that may still be at risk in Vancouver. Out of sight, out of mind, that kind of mentality. This is the liberal mind virus that we've been seeing, where it's repeating the same actions over and over and over again, expecting different results. Well, it turns out that that's not how things work in nature. And especially when it comes to crazy people. Crazy people need to be locked up. And if they're a danger to society, if they were a danger to you, believe me, they're a danger to other people. This is where we're at in Canada. Ladies and gents, the elbows up crowd has brought us here. I'd love to know what you have to say about